Focus first. Victory always isn't just a phrase, it's a mindset. In every challenge, distraction fights for your attention, but success belongs to those who harness the power of focus. Imagine sharpening your mind like a laser, cutting through doubt, fear, and hesitation. That's how champions rise, and that's how you will rise. Victory isn't luck. It's the inevitable outcome of disciplined focus, relentless drive, and unwavering belief in yourself. This speech is your call to ignite inner strength, master your mind, and claim the victories waiting for you. Focus first and watch victory follow every time. The power of laser focus is one of the most underestimated superpowers we have as human beings. Think about it for a moment. Every single day, your attention is pulled in 100 different directions. Emails, social media conversations, worries about the past, anxieties about the future. And yet, your success, your victories, your ability to rise above challenge after challenge, they don't come from scattering your energy across all of those distractions. They come from mastering one simple principle: what you focus on grows. Imagine your mind as a lens. When it's unfocused, the light scatters. You can't burn through anything. But when that lens sharpens into laser focus, suddenly that same light has the power to ignite, to transform, to cut through steel. That is the power you hold in your hands when you decide to focus first. Let's make this real. How many of you have had moments when you set your mind on something so deeply that the world around you disappeared? Ours felt like minutes. Energy you didn't even know you had suddenly came alive. That wasn't an accident. That was you tapping into the highest level of your brain's potential. Focus does more than help you get things done. Focus rewires your brain. It strengthens memory. It sharpens decision making, and it creates the foundation for resilience. You become the kind of person who not only survives pressure, but thrives in it. Now, here's the truth in today's world. We've been trained to fragment our attention. We pride ourselves on multitasking, but neuroscience tells us something very clear. Multitasking is not a strength, it's a weakness. Every time you switch from one task to another, your brain pays a tax. You lose energy, you lose clarity, you lose momentum. And if you live your life that way, always switching, always scattering, you'll never access the full depth of your potential. So the question becomes, how do we flip the switch? How do we move from scattered to sharp, from distracted to disciplined? The answer begins with awareness. You must notice where your focus is drifting. Ask yourself, is my attention being hijacked by things that don't matter? Or am I directing it like a commander toward the mission that does? Once you recognize that, you gain choice. You gain power. You begin to reclaim your mind. And then it's about practice. Focus is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. Start with small things. Put your phone away for an hour while you work on something that matters. Give your full attention to one conversation without thinking about what's next. Take 10 minutes in silence each morning to set your intention for the day. These aren't just habits. They are workouts for your brain. Over time, they transform you into a person of unstoppable clarity. Here's what's amazing: when you focus first, victories start to stack. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Distractions lose their power. Fear loses its grip. You start to feel a flow in your life, a rhythm that aligns your actions with your goals. And when that alignment happens, results follow like gravity. So if you want to rise, if you want to lead, if you want to live at your fullest potential, it begins with one decision: sharpen your focus. Don't chase 10 things at once. Chase one thing with everything you've got. That is where greatness is built. That is where champions are made. That is where victory begins. Focus first, because when you do, victory always follows. Silencing distractions once you begin to understand the power of focus. The next challenge is learning how to protect it. And this is where so many people stumble. It's not that they don't have ambition. It's not that they don't have talent. It's that their focus is constantly being stolen. We live in a world of endless noise where distractions don't just exist, they hunt for us. Every ping, every notification, every thought that whispers, "just check for a second," is a thief in disguise. But here's the reality: distraction only has the power you give it. Let me repeat that. Distraction only has the power you give it. Every time you let your mind be pulled away, you're making a choice. even if it doesn't feel like it. And those tiny choices, those moments when you trade clarity for comfort, are what separate those who stay stuck from those who rise. Think about it. How often do we justify the little interruptions? It's just a quick scroll. It's only one text. I'll get back to it in a second. But those seconds add up. They break momentum. They fracture your attention. And in that gap, doubt sneaks in. In that gap, fear gets louder. In that gap, your vision begins to blur. That is the true cost of distraction. It's not just time. It's your confidence, your consistency, your belief in yourself. Now, here's the empowering truth. You can train yourself to silence distractions. It begins with setting boundaries. Your environment shapes your focus more than you realize. If you surround yourself with clutter, your mind becomes cluttered. If you keep your phone within arm's reach every time you're working, you're giving permission for distraction to control you. But when you take control of your environment, when you design it to serve your goals, you shift the balance of power. And it's not just external noise we need to guard against. The loudest distractions often come from within. That little voice in your head telling you, you're not ready. This is too hard. You'll never get there. Those thoughts are mental static, and they can be even more dangerous than the buzzing of your phone. So what do we do about it? We don't fight those thoughts. Fighting them only makes them louder. Instead, we train our brains to refocus. Acknowledge the distraction, then redirect your attention back to what matters. Over and over again. That's how you quiet the noise. And here's something powerful I want you to understand. Every time you silence a distraction, you strengthen your discipline. It's like lifting a weight. At first, it feels heavy. At first, it feels uncomfortable. But with practice, you build mental muscle. What was once difficult becomes automatic. You begin to operate from a place of clarity where your energy is no longer scattered across 1,000 things, but channeled into one unstoppable direction. This is why silencing distractions is not about deprivation. It's about liberation. You are freeing yourself from the grip of things that don't matter so you can give yourself fully to the things that do. You are creating space for growth, for learning, for building something extraordinary. That's the gift of focus protected from distraction. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes to what truly matters. So I ask you, what distractions have been stealing your victory? What noise has been hijacking your energy? And more importantly, are you willing to take it back? Because the moment you decide to silence the noise, you step into a level of power and clarity most people will never experience. Guard your focus, protect it like the treasure it is. Because when distraction loses, victory wins. Discipline creates victory. Once you've sharpened your focus and learned how to silence distractions, the next step is what turns intention into results. Discipline. Focus without discipline is like having a map but never taking a step. It shows you where to go, but without consistent action, you'll never arrive. Discipline is the bridge between your vision and your victory. Now, when most people hear the word discipline, they think of something restrictive, something heavy, maybe even something that feels like punishment. But true discipline isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. It's about giving yourself the structure to follow through on the things that matter most. Without discipline, your goals remain ideas. With discipline, they become reality. Think about the people you admire most, the athletes, the innovators, the leaders who have reshaped industries or inspired movements. None of them got there by accident. Talent may have opened the door, but it was discipline that kept them moving forward when motivation faded. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning when the spark is gone. And here's the beautiful thing. Discipline is not something you're born with or without. It's something you build, just like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it. And it doesn't start with grand, overwhelming commitments. It starts with the small things, choosing to wake up 10 minutes earlier, choosing to finish the task you started instead of leaving it halfway, choosing to keep the promise you made to yourself when no one else is watching. These tiny choices are the foundation of unstoppable discipline. But let's be real, it isn't easy. There will always be days when you don't feel like it, when excuses feel louder than your goals, when the temptation to quit feels stronger than your desire to win. And that's exactly why discipline matters. Discipline is what carries you through those moments. It's the voice that says, I don't care how I feel right now. I know what I committed to, and I'm going to see it through. That voice is what separates success from regret. Discipline is also contagious. When you train yourself to follow through in one area, it spills into every other area of your life. The person who learns to stay consistent in their health finds it easier to stay consistent in their work. The person who learns to stay disciplined with their habits discovers the strength to stay disciplined with their dreams. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you unlock a level of confidence that no obstacle can take away. Here's what I want you to remember. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You will slip, you will stumble, you will have days when you fall short. That doesn't mean you failed. Failure only happens when you stop showing up. Discipline means you keep coming back again and again until what once felt hard becomes second nature. And every time you practice discipline, you're stacking small victories, one on top of the other. They may not seem big in the moment, but over time, those small victories compound. They build momentum, they build resilience, they build the kind of strength that carries you toward your biggest goals, no matter how impossible they may seem at the start. So remember this, your focus gives you direction. Silencing distractions clears the path, but it is discipline that drives you forward step by step, day after day, until the finish line is no longer a dream. It's your reality. Discipline creates victory. Always. Mindset of a champion discipline is what carries you forward, but discipline alone is not enough. To truly create lasting success, you must build the mindset of a champion, because victory doesn't begin on the field or in the office or on the stage. It begins in the mind. What you believe shapes how you act, and how you act shapes what you achieve. Now, here's the truth. The world will not always believe in you. People will doubt you. Circumstances will test you. There will be moments when it feels like everything is stacked against you. And if your belief in yourself is weak, those moments will break you. But if your mindset is strong, those same moments will make you. The difference is not in what happens to you, but in how you choose to interpret it. A champion's mindset is built on resilience. It doesn't deny obstacles. It expects them. It doesn't avoid setbacks. It learns from them, and it doesn't measure progress by how easy the path is, but by how unwavering the commitment remains. Champions don't wait for perfect conditions. They create momentum even when conditions are far from perfect. Let me ask you, how many times have you hesitated because you didn't feel ready? How many times have you held yourself back waiting for the right moment? The mindset of a champion says this: I don't need to feel ready. I will rise to the challenge, and readiness will follow. That is the difference between someone who waits for opportunity and someone who creates it. But let's make this clear. A champion's mindset is not about arrogance. It's not about pretending you'll never fail or forcing yourself to be positive every second of the day. It's about cultivating the mental toughness to keep going even when doubt, fear, and fatigue try to stop you. It's about training your mind to see challenges not as walls, but as doors, doors that only open if you push hard enough. And just like focus and discipline, this mindset is something you can practice. It starts with your self-talk. What you say to yourself matters more than what anyone else says about you. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't, I'm not enough, I'll never get there, then your brain will find evidence to make that true. But when you train yourself to say, I can, I am capable, I will find a way, your brain starts to align your actions with that belief. You create a mental environment where victory feels possible, and that changes everything. Another key to building this mindset is surrounding yourself with people who challenge and inspire you. Champions don't grow in isolation. They grow in environments that stretch them, with people who hold them accountable, who remind them of their potential when they forget. The people around you shape your standard. Choose wisely. And here's the most powerful part. Once you build the mindset of a champion, you stop seeing victory as a single moment. You start seeing it as a lifestyle. Victory becomes less about the trophy or the recognition and more about who you become along the way. It's about showing up for yourself day after day with focus, discipline, and belief. It's about refusing to let setbacks define you and choosing instead to let them refine you. So the question isn't whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you're willing to train your mind as hard as you train your skills. Because when your mindset is unshakable, the circumstances no longer matter. The obstacles no longer matter. The doubts no longer matter. With the mindset of a champion, you are unstoppable. Victory isn't chance, it's mindset. Transform fear into fuel. When you carry the mindset of a champion, you begin to see obstacles differently. You start to realize that what most people fear is not the end. It's the beginning. Fear shows up every time you're about to do something meaningful. It whispers in your ear when you step outside your comfort zone, when you reach for something bigger than you've ever reached before. And for most people, fear becomes the reason they stop. But here's the truth. Fear is not a signal to quit. Fear is fuel waiting to be used. Think about the moments in your life when you were afraid of failing, afraid of being judged, afraid of not being enough. And yet, if you push through, those very moments became the most transformative experiences you ever had. Fear has a strange way of pointing you toward growth. It's like a compass. Wherever fear is, that's usually the direction of your greatest potential. The problem is we're taught to avoid fear, to run from it, to see it as danger. But what if we shifted that perspective? What if instead of asking, what if I fail, you asked, what if this fear is the doorway to my next level? Fear, when harnessed, sharpens your focus, heightens your awareness, and unleashes energy you didn't know you had. That rush you feel before a big moment, that's not weakness. That's your body preparing you for greatness. Now, I'm not saying fear will disappear. It won't. You can't eliminate fear, but you can decide what role it plays in your story. Will it be the anchor that holds you back or the fire that drives you forward? That choice is yours. Every time fear shows up, you have the chance to reframe it. Instead of saying, I'm scared, I can't do this, train yourself to say, I'm scared, which means this matters, which means this is worth it. That simple shift changes everything. And here's something powerful. The more you practice turning fear into fuel, the less intimidating it becomes. What once made you freeze now makes you move faster. What once felt impossible now feels like an opportunity. You start to build courage, not because fear is gone, but because you've proven to yourself that you can act despite it. That's where real confidence is born, not in the absence of fear, but in the mastery of it. Let me give you an image. Fear is like fire. Left uncontrolled, it burns everything down. But when you learn to contain it, to direct it, that same fire gives warmth, light, and power. The fire doesn't change. It's your relationship to it that does. The same is true of fear. Don't let it consume you. Harness it, use it. Let it drive you further than you thought you could go. And don't forget this, every person you admire, every champion you look up to has felt fear. The difference is not that they were fearless. It's that they were courageous. They made the decision to act, even while afraid. And that decision changed the trajectory of their lives. So the next time fear shows up, welcome it. See it for what it really is, a sign that you're on the edge of growth, on the edge of becoming more than you were yesterday. Don't run from that feeling. Lean into it. Let it sharpen you. Let it strengthen you. Let it remind you that what you're about to do has the power to transform you. Transform fear into fuel, because fear isn't your enemy. It's your energy. Focus, get action. A victory when you learn to focus your mind, silence the noise, practice discipline, build the mindset of a champion, and turn fear into fuel. Everything begins to align. Focus leads you to clarity. Clarity leads you to action, and action leads you to victory. It's a simple formula, but one that so many people overlook. Because the truth is, victory doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens through a chain of decisions, each one linked to the other. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you move closer. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you move closer. Every time you choose courage over fear, you move closer. Those choices add up. They form a pattern, a rhythm, a flow where action is no longer forced. It becomes natural. You begin to feel momentum building beneath you, pushing you forward, carrying you toward the results you've been chasing. But let's be clear, action is the turning point. You can dream all you want. You can prepare all you want. You can fill notebooks with plans and visions. But until you act, nothing changes. Champions aren't crowned for what they imagine. They're crowned for what they do. And the beauty of action is that it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need the perfect timing, the perfect strategy, the perfect confidence. You just need to move, because movement creates progress and progress creates possibility. There's a reason people say action cures fear. The moment you take even a small step, the fear begins to shrink, the doubts begin to quiet down, and your brain receives a powerful message. I am capable. Each step reinforces the belief that you can. And that belief is what transforms effort into achievement. Action also builds trust with yourself. When you follow through, you prove to yourself that your word means something. You strengthen your identity as someone who doesn't just think about victory, but lives it. And once you see yourself that way, you stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for perfect. You start to act boldly, knowing that every action is another brick in the foundation of your success. Now, let's talk about victory, because victory is not just about winning a medal, landing a job, or reaching a milestone. Those are wonderful, yes, but victory runs deeper. True victory is waking up each day knowing you honored your potential. True victory is living with integrity, focus, and courage. True victory is looking back and realizing that the person you became along the way matters more than the prize you earned. And here's the most exciting part: victory multiplies. When you achieve one win, no matter how small, it inspires the next. It gives you proof that you can do more, be more, achieve more. Suddenly, the impossible begins to look possible. And that belief doesn't just transform your life, it influences everyone around you. Your focus, your discipline, your courage, your action, they become contagious. You show others what's possible. You light the path for them to walk their own journey toward victory. So let this be your reminder. You don't need to wait for some far off future to claim your victories. You can start now with one choice, one step, one action. And when you repeat those steps consistently, relentlessly, with unwavering focus, the results will come. Maybe not overnight, maybe not without setbacks, but they will come, because the formula never fails. Focus first, action next, victory always. Focus, gay action of victory. That's the path. That's the process. That's the promise. Focus first and victory always follows. Outro of this video: every dreamer wants victory, but few realize it doesn't begin with luck. It begins with focus. In a world where distractions steal our attention and fear whispers that we're not enough, the real winners are those who master their mind before they master their craft. This speech is not about motivation that fades. It's about transformation that lasts. It's about silencing the noise, sharpening your discipline, and unleashing the champion already inside you. Because when you focus first, truly, relentlessly, fearlessly, victory isn't just possible, it becomes inevitable.